After being reborn, I directly disabled my own hands and ruined my legs. Finally, I threw himself into the furnace at 1,000 degrees. Simply because the world's spiritual energy is reviving. Physically impaired individuals are cleansed by spiritual energy. By borrowing this, one can reshape their flesh, and awaken extraordinary abilities like the one-armed person who awakened the Chilean arm, capable of splitting mountains and rocks with a single punch. The awakened great strength Vajra leg of the leg amputee is the main path to acquiring the thundering 5 whip. Even individuals with cerebral palsy can possess remarkable insights, as the brain is capable of processing all the factors in the world. The so-called break and rebuild is done in this way. At this moment, inside a steel rolling mill production workshop in Chu Prefecture, Wakimo. I suddenly woke up from the table, gasping for breath, my eyes filled with fear. After hearing a reminder from my colleague next to me, I was surprised once again and immediately took out my phone. After checking the date carefully, my pupils suddenly contracted, and I was reborn, because the screen on my phone clearly showed that it was now 3 p.m. on December 7, 2045. I vividly remember that in 15 minutes, the world will be swept by a surge of spiritual energy. When the time comes, the world will undergo a great change. All things will be purified, countless fierce and ferocious beasts will emerge, and plants will grow wildly. The building collapsed, and the civilization that humans had painstakingly built over thousands of years was completely destroyed. In my previous life, I did not awaken any innate talents or abilities. In a world where order collapsed and humanity perished, I, as the lowest laborer, became fodder for those awakened ones. I was imprisoned in a cage by them, enduring endless hunger and daily having my twisted flesh used to feed the awakening ones. I didn't even have the chance to commit suicide, it was simply unbearable. Finally, the survivor camp I was in was breached by a ferocious beast, and everyone died under its claws. Remembering the vivid scenes in my mind, my spirit was greatly shaken, and I almost despaired, muttering a sentence lowly before immediately heading towards the steel mill. Now I deeply understand that only by mastering strong power, it is possible to change my own tragic fate. In contemplation, I have already arrived at the lathe of the steel rolling mill. It is now the end of the workday, and there is only me in the workshop. I glance at the machine that can twist and deform steel. Without hesitation, he reached his hand in. With memories from past lives, I am well aware that not only those with extraordinary talents can become awakened. Some awakened individuals were disabled before the catastrophe, such as blind or deaf, but after being cleansed by spiritual energy, they not only regain their sight and hearing, but also gain powerful supernatural abilities. Organizations have deduced the key to creating awakened beings. When the disaster strikes, that mysterious aura that washes over the world, and my talents are average, and my body is not impaired. So, if I want to become an awakened one, there is only one way left: break to rebuild, break before standing. I immediately started the hydraulic hammer on the lathe, and without changing my expression, I reached my hand into it. As the hydraulic hammer quickly struck down, my left hand was instantly crushed into a bloody mess. But I just let out a grunt, without any change in expression. I said I couldn't feel the pain, it's all a lie. But compared to being skinned alive in a windowless cell for eternity, what does a little pain matter? I continued to clench my right hand, but I didn't stop there. I lifted both legs up as well, and with another loud thud, I let them fall. My legs were also smashed into minced meat by the brutal force. After completing all this, I looked towards the furnace not far away that was used for smelting just now. Without any hesitation, I immediately crawled towards it using my chin to support the ground. Since I wanted to achieve the maximum awakening, I couldn't just limit it to my limbs. As I pondered, I was already dragging the remnants. The body came to the edge of the furnace. At this moment I just need to wait for the moment before the spiritual energy descends. Drip, 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 accompanied by the alarm I set in advance rings. I immediately shifted my weight forward and plunged into the scorching molten iron. In the next moment, I felt an endless burning sensation spreading from all parts of my body, an unimaginable agony penetrating deep into my bones. My body was gradually melting as my consciousness began to fade away. The sky outside suddenly emitted a loud noise, followed by an explosion that opened up a crack. A large amount of spiritual energy surged into this world like a tide. At this moment, my body was already burning, almost completely consumed as the majestic spiritual energy flooded into the steel mill, wrapping my broken body in an instant. In the next moment, my body was repaired at a visible speed under the nourishment of spiritual energy, and my wavering consciousness was pulled back to reality, instantly becoming clear-headed. I clearly see the spiritual energy swirling around me, feeling a sense of joy in my heart after nourishing it with spiritual energy for several hours. My body has finally been fully repaired. At this moment, I realize that my appearance has changed drastically, and my body has clearly become much more muscular. At the same time, I also feel that every cell in my body is filled with strength, and my bones crackle with power. I immediately clenched my right fist and swung it forward with a loud bang. The furnace in front of me exploded instantly. The diamond that could withstand temperatures of over 1,000 degrees shattered like a fragile eggshell. The originally incredibly deadly molten iron, at this moment, was as harmless as a clear spring. I could feel the explosive force filling my body, and couldn't help but show a smile, finally awakening. Then, I lowered my head and looked at my own body. At this moment, my body seems to have awakened a kind of divine steel-like power, and the strength of this physical body can now rival that of the legendary Superman. However, this is just one of the divine powers that I have awakened. Just now, the special pupil that allowed me to see the flow of spiritual energy is another divine power, the heavy pupil. It not only greatly enhances my strength and insight, but also provides a significant boost in combat, as its unique structure can activate the spiritual power within me. Emitting terrifying spiritual rays, this sharp ray is not only extremely fast, but also incredibly powerful. At the same level, even a slight touch from it will instantly melt anything it comes into contact with. Moreover, it can also induce opponents into illusions or fear. In a moment of contemplation, I waved my hand and suddenly the skin on my arm cracked open, followed by incredibly sharp bones emerging from within. This is the third supreme transcendence I have awakened, known as the Drum of Supreme Bones. This transcendence can evolve and grow, transforming every inch of my bones into sharp and hard weapons. It even gave birth to a powerful divine tree. However, I was not in a hurry to study that divine tree. Instead, I slowly closed my eyes and felt the fourth divine power of my brain, the Sea of Abyss. The moment I closed my eyes, I felt my consciousness expanding infinitely, filling every part of my body. I am currently in a state where I have absolute control over myself, and I am able to perform even the most intricate movements with precision and accuracy. And all of this is thanks to the powerful supercomputing power I gained after awakening the brain of the Abyss, and my brain has also undergone significant development. My gaze fell upon a large pile of steel plates stacked nearby. With just a thought in my mind, those steel plates seemed to be grabbed by an invisible giant hand, and with a loud noise, they were instantly torn in half. Being able to manipulate psychic powers indicates that my brain development has exceeded 20%. Following that, I slightly closed my eyes and then my brain began to work frantically. The Abyss system has activated its firepower using the powerful calculations provided by the Abyss brain. Constructed a department in my mind. This way, I can focus on the battle while relying on the system to help me analyze the opponent's weaknesses as the system activates. Suddenly, a virtual panel appeared in front of my eyes, displaying my information, name, Lin Mo, second level of enlightenment, awakened to the divine power of the abyssal mind, with a body of bronze, steel, and iron, and the supreme drum. After reading the information, I couldn't help but freeze for a moment. I actually directly became a second-order awakener, which has never happened before. I am way ahead of other awakeners right from the starting line, much to my pleasant surprise. The workshop's main door suddenly swung open. Immediately after that, countless steel mill workers streamed in from outside, each with a look of extreme fear and a sense of impending doom on their faces, signaling the beginning of the global crisis. Just moments ago, these steel mill workers were enjoying their leisurely time after work. The next moment, the killer appeared from all directions and began to rampage through the city. When the savage beast stepped onto the streets, the massacre had already begun. In an instant, countless lives vanished in screams and fear. The workers in front of me were clearly returning for shelter. But I paid no attention to this group of people and instead walked towards the door. Don't go outside, there are monsters that eat people. As soon as the crowd saw this, some people wanted to persuade me to stay. But how could he know that I already knew about the situation outside like the back of my hand, without any hesitation? I immediately pushed open the door of the workshop, and at that moment, the whole world had undergone a drastic change. The once boundless sky was now filled with various strange creatures flying around, and in the distance, gigantic beasts the size of small mountains emerged from the mountains, trampling everything that humans had toiled to build. Without hesitation, I walked out of the steel mill's gate, only to come face to face with a cat-like beast even larger than a tank. This monster left a deep impression on me, as it was also the first beast I had encountered in my past life. When I was living as a cat demon, Catwaste also noticed me at the end of the street and immediately let out a fierce roar. Catwaste could sense my presence, much stronger than an average human, which delighted him greatly. A mere ant dares to bare its teeth at me. I let out a cold snort, and my gaze instantly darkens. On the other side, the Catwaste also rushed forward and slapped the small two-legged beast in front of it, causing a terrifying explosion sound. The road surface could not withstand this huge force and spread out in a spiderweb-like pattern. However, after this palm fell, the expression of the cat demon suddenly froze. I single-handedly held back this huge force, then countless sharp bone spurs surged out from my hand, easily piercing through the cat demon's body. The cat demon immediately howled in pain, wanting to pull his hand back, but it was already too late. The next moment, my gaze sharpened, and the bone spike that had pierced the cat demon's front paw suddenly surged, tearing his entire paw into shreds. Then, I took a step forward and disappeared from the spot. As I reappeared, I had already arrived behind the cat demon before the cat could even react. A neat bloodline appeared on his neck, and he collapsed with a loud thud, completely losing his vitality. At the same time, several workers secretly observing from the steel mill witnessed this scene, and all of them widened their eyes in disbelief. They could not comprehend the power I displayed, as in their eyes, the me before them seemed like a deity. However, I ignored the bewildered looks of those people and simply left the place. Now, what I need to do is to find those people from my past life who treated me like livestock and make them pay with their blood. In the post-apocalyptic world, vehicles like cars have become obsolete, but I don't need any such means of transportation either. As a second-level initiate, I can reach a speed of 80 km per hour solely relying on my legs. Not long after, I arrived outside an abandoned industrial park on the outskirts of the city that I remembered. This was the base established by dozens of awakened individuals at the beginning of the apocalypse, the survivor organization I had joined in the previous life. Without any hesitation, I immediately walked into the industrial park. A large number of humans have already gathered here, including many awakened individuals. I squinted my eyes, a hint of imperceptible killing intent flashing in the depths of my eyes. The Red Camp, an organization that destroys humanity, has no reason to exist, and that's why I made up my mind to take action. The awakened ones organizing people for shelter in the distance have also noticed my presence. As fellow awakened individuals, they can clearly sense the powerful aura emanating from me, which excites them. One burly awakener immediately walked towards me, looking at the approaching awakener. I squinted my eyes slightly, and a playful expression appeared on my face as I recognized the person in front of me. It was the second-in-command, Louis Dao, from the Red Camp in the past life. With this brother missing now and fierce beasts on the loose, why not join our Red Camp and defend against the beasts together? As soon as he arrived, Louis Dao remained unchanged and smiled as he extended an invitation to me. However, I just gave a cold laugh. If I didn't have memories of my past life, maybe I would have really accepted it. The willow knife in front of me may not seem gentle to others, but only I know. He was the first to suggest that they should use the butcher inside the camp to attack the ordinary people when the food ran out. With these thoughts in mind, I chuckled coldly and did not reach out for the willow sword. The latter, caught off guard, reached out their hand to shake mine, but just as our hands met, my arms suddenly grew numerous sharp-boned spurs. The right hand of Liu Daomai was instantly blown into a bloody mess. Feeling the intense pain from his right hand, Liu Daomai immediately cried out in pain, his facial expression twisted in agony. He staggered back a few steps, his eyes filled with horror and fear as he looked at me. At the same time, many awakened individuals in the rear saw my actions and immediately reacted, loudly shouting that I was the enemy. The next moment, countless awakened individuals rushed towards me in a swarm. And yet I raised my eyebrows slightly. They abandoned their humanity. Even if they kept it, it would be a disaster, just as I pondered. An information bar appeared in front of me, displaying the abilities of the awakened individuals in front of me. This is the power of the abyssal system. Looking at the dozens of first-stage awakeners in front of me, my gaze sharpened. In the next moment, I took a step forward and instantly found myself in the midst of the crowd, facing what lay ahead. It is the stunning willow leaf blade that has already shocked beyond measure. Without saying a word, I instantly conjured a follow-up strike and brought it down in one swift motion. Witnessing this scene, the willow sword did not hesitate, causing his pupils to contract sharply, and his heart filled with horror. Finally, he quickly extended his left arm to try to block. Just under my bone knife, the proud strength of his body paled in comparison. A bloodline appeared on Willow's beautiful face, then spread throughout his body. In the next moment, his body split in half and fell to the ground on the spot. The awakened one scattered and fled in all directions. Upon seeing the situation, I put away the dagger on my body and stomped my foot. A pitch-black dot started rapidly expanding outward in all directions, with me at the center. Before those awakened beings could run far, a dark barrier enveloped the entire industrial park, blocking out the sunlight completely, leaving only a faint green light around. Suddenly, a decrepit ancient shrine slowly rose from the ground beneath my feet. Upon closer inspection, wisps of sharp energy lingered above the shrine, emitting a powerful and eerie aura that intertwined with the darkness surrounding it. What is this? The crowd couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. The boundless darkness before my eyes. And there is the incredibly ancient shrine. It is the divine tree of destruction, born from my supreme bone. The dilapidated shrine is a divine tree in the field category. After I cast it, I can rely on the sharpness of the shrine. The awakening ones surrounded by boundless darkness were shocked by the darkness before them. Just then, a crisp buzzing sound suddenly rang out in the darkness. A clear white light flashed and disappeared in an instant, passing through the bodies of those awakened ones. Before they could react, a bloodline appeared on their bodies, followed by a half cut, causing them to fall to one side. With just one strike, 10 people perished. The awakeners who once kept me captive are now terrified to the extreme. With a wave of my hand, the corpse of the recently deceased awakener began to rapidly decay. The second ability of the dilapidated shrine. Being able to manipulate the endless corpses within the domain, turning them into puppets under their control. In no time, the bodies of those awakeners were corrupted into eerie white bones, and miraculously stood up. Rushing towards the remaining awakened ones, they then unleashed a massacre. The awakened ones who narrowly escaped the calamity around them, upon witnessing this scene, were so frightened that they fell to the ground among the strange crowd. Finally, someone couldn't hold back anymore and screamed in panic. It was this piercing scream that finally awakened the fear in the hearts of the other awakened ones. In the next moment, all the surviving awakeners suddenly changed direction and fled towards the outskirts of the industrial area. But my skeleton army is not to be underestimated. Blessed by the desolate shrine, each corpse possesses formidable strength, comparable to a newly awakened one on the street. Under the vast offensive of the skeleton army, the remaining awakened beings are quickly slain. I turned my head to look at the hundreds of survivors not far away. These were all people who, like me, had once been treated as slaves. They are all looking at each other in fear and astonishment right now. I did not offer any explanation and declared on the spot that as of today, the Crimson Camp belongs under my control. I will provide protection for all of you, but you must also work for me. Those who do not comply will be killed, as my words are final. Hundreds of survivors breathed a sigh of relief when they encountered such a powerful entity, comparable to a ferocious beast. The protection provided by the camp also brought a sense of security to many survivors. Although they did not fully understand my position, being able to work under such a powerful being ensured their safety in the post-apocalyptic world. All the people present knelt down and swore allegiance to me. The reason I wanted to keep them around was to cultivate a force for myself. After all, what one person can achieve is truly limited. Attention everyone. From today onwards, when you go out to search for supplies, pay extra attention to precious artifacts and antiques. Whether they are useful or not, bring them back to me. The survivors were all at a loss. Little did they know what happened after the apocalypse arrived. Many ancient relics have developed spiritual qualities, providing great assistance in both combat and cultivation. This is why I want them to collect ancient artifacts. In my past life, I had seen many survivors after obtaining grains. Either they make rapid progress in their cultivation, or their battle strength surges dramatically, and they may even grow to be more powerful than the awakened ones. I naturally won't miss out on something that can greatly enhance my own strength. Moreover, it is currently the end of the world, making the early stage the best time for crude improvements. After arranging my subordinates, I immediately left the camp. Go towards the Wangchuzhu Museum.